What's up, people? This is Jack Lyon. Today we're gonna talk about Photoshop for a little bit. Um, yeah, so let's just get started. I've noticed that a lot of independent artists who are out there are trying to get into graphic design, and sometimes somebody wants to get into graphic design but maybe doesn't know how, and that's what this tutorial is for. So if you're a little bit more intermediate to advanced, then maybe skip this tutorial. But if you're a beginner and you want to know how to get started using Photoshop and using the basic tools, and as well as understanding how it works functionally, so you can get started creating, then this is the right tutorial for you. Now, what I'm going to do is recommend that you look up the best resolution for whatever platform you're trying to upload to. So for me, I choose 3000 by 3000 because for SoundCloud, they use square images as well as Bandcamp, and 3000 by 3000, both of them work. Different platforms will have different standards of resolution. So keep that in mind because your use may vary compared to mine. So if you use DistroKid, maybe look up what Spotify's preferred resolution is, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and hit create. If you don't have one set up, then all you have to do is come over to the width section, type in 3000 or whatever your figure is, and height should be the same. And we're going to be working in pixels. Okay, so now we have a blank canvas. Okay, so with this blank canvas, there's a lot we can do. We can start by just inserting an image. So for my first image, I'm going to, well, first of all, the way you import images is by coming over to File, Place Embedded. Otherwise, that's Shift Command P for Mac. So my folder I have prepared is right here, PS tutorial. So I have this image that I use for a graphic that I designed for my homie Havenwoods. So shout out Havenwoods. He's the shit. Go check him out. But this is an image that is not a square. So he asked me to make this fit the screen. Now, in this case, since it's an abstract image, all I have to do is stretch it. So in that case, all I had to do was hit this button, the move. This allows you to transform. All right. So if you use this and this box doesn't show up that allows you to edit it, then all you have to do is go up to edit and hit free transform on whatever layer is currently selected that you'd like to transform. Okay. So all I did was hold shift on the corner, and that allows me to freely expand and contract as I please. So this one was a simple enough fix. All I had to do was throw an image into Photoshop and then stretch it to fit the screen. If you're working with compositions that are already made, you just want to make them fit, you have several options. So this is one option. Another option, and I'm not going to be like making any beautiful graphics today. I'm just going to be showing you the basics. So another option is to set it up in like the corner or something, or like have it maybe rotate. So what I would do is look for this little curved icon and then turn it. If you hold shift, then it'll lock into a 90-degree angle. And then I'll just sort of move it here so that it takes up, horizontally the whole screen. And then what I want to do is I want to add a solid layer. So not this background, I'm going to delete that. So what I'm going to do is come down to this little button, and I'm going to add solid color. Now it's going to add a black box. We can change that color however we like. For this one, I think I'm going to go with some kind of green. And then, all right, I want to bring your attention over down here to the layers section. So this is where all of your layers in Photoshop will be. The way it works is you can move stuff around, and whatever is on top occludes everything behind it. So this image is going to sit on top of this background color fill. Now I can move those around freely. And as you'll see, when we add more and more stuff, then these can start to stack up. All right. So next, if you want to ever change that, you just have to double click on the green color and you can change that. So what I'd like to do here is maybe stick that in the corner there. And all right, so like I said, I'm not going to be making anything staggering today, but I'm just showing you some basic functions. So one thing to keep in mind is over here, while I still have your attention directed over there, you can play with the opacity of a layer. So 0% opacity will be completely transparent and 100% will be completely solid. So if we pick something towards the middle, then you can see our layer is beginning to blend with what is behind it. Okay? So that's one way to blend layers. Another way to blend is with the actual blend modes. These can be pretty interesting, I'm not gonna lie. I like using these a lot. But I might go with this lighter color. Just to explain how these work though, when you have an image, it's composed of pixels and each pixel can be represented as a numerical value. So like the colors and such, it goes pretty in depth, but basically, and there's other people who do better videos on this particular topic than me. I would just go check those out if you're more curious. But basically for something like difference, it would take one of the pixels from this image and one of the pixels from this image and subtract them, the ones that are on top of each other, and that would be the result. So I'm going to go with this lighter color for now, and then I'm just going to stretch it to fit the top here. Okay, cool. So where do we go from here? Well, for one thing, we could always add more images, more samples. Something that's pretty useful to play with are like PNGs. Let me see if I have any just like lying around. So I'll just use my old logo as an example. So I can drop my logo in there. Now PNG by definition is just any image with a transparent background. So in this case, it's really useful because I can take my logo, put it over anything, and there's an element of transparency to it. Whereas if you were to just upload like a JPEG, JPEG does not support transparency, so you would have a solid background. So like, you know, I could just put my logo wherever, you know, and like I said, I'm not trying to make anything staggering today, so I'll just keep that there for now. Okay, so a couple other basic functions. So now that we sort of have a basic foundation, I'm gonna digress a little to talk about some of these tools over here. So we've only really used the move tool so far. Now I'm not gonna go into depth on each one, but I think like knowing a handful of these will allow you to take each technique or each tool, I guess, and you can take those pretty far, and your mileage may vary depending, but like, you know, so like this one, it looks like you can like lasso stuff, you could cut stuff out, put them in there in your composition. You could isolate things like people, buildings. So like if you guys want me to go more in depth on stuff like that, I can do more tutorials in the future. Just let me know down in the comments. But basically, like another way we could have created this shape is by using this rectangle tool. So we can create a shape like so. And when we create a shape, it comes with a fill and a stroke. And we're going to deal with that when we enter text too. But basically, a stroke is just a sort of a border. So like, let's choose a red stroke and you see this outline appear. We can change how many pixels that is, and it changes the thickness of it, right? So if we don't want that, we can just hit this. As well, we can select a gradient as our stroke, but I'm just going to go with no stroke. Now we have the same or similar options for this gradient, or sorry, for this, for the fill. The fill is everything in the middle of the shape. So we can choose no fill and just use the stroke, or we could use a gradient. They have some nice presets here. Let's just go with that for now. All right, so I'm just for shits and giggles, I'm gonna see what happens if I were to blend this. Oh yeah, so you have to set something. So like if you're moving it, you have to hit enter to let it go in order to do this. So let's see. That's kind of cool. Let's see what it looks like if I do this. All right, yeah, maybe I'll go with that for now. And then one thing you can do is colorize things or change the hue. So like, let's say I don't really like the hue of this. I could hit Command U. Well, let me hit enter first. So I'll hit Command U. Oh wait, I think I have to rasterize this first. So I rasterize it, and then you can hit Command U. So if some of the effects don't work, you have to rasterize them, like I just did. And I'll show you that again. But basically, here we have the hue saturation control. We can rotate the hue. I kind of like that. And then adjust the saturation. And then the lightness. Very nice. Okay, so I'm gonna hit OK to keep those changes. So let's see, we can insert text as well. But one more thing, actually, before I go over here some more, I want to point out you can isolate or preview solo, whatever you want to say. You can basically selectively choose which layers are present in the composition using these eye layer or eye indicator things. So that can be kind of cool for like A/Bing your ideas. Like I kind of don't like this color fill anymore, so I'm just gonna hit delete on that and get rid of it. And then I'm gonna add some text. So this text tool is a pretty basic one. So like I said, I'm just gonna show you a lot of basic stuff today. But between move tool and the text tool, I think those are the ones that I probably use the most. It may be the shapes. And shapes are cool. You can create custom shapes, but like I said, not going to get into that. Back to, where was I? Text. So yeah, we have horizontal text. And if we hold, click and hold, we also have vertical text. All right. So this allows us to create text that's vertical as well as text that's horizontal. So let's see where to go from here. All right, so now we have a basic composition, a basic understanding of the tools, and as well as the layers, some of the properties we've messed with. For example, like with the text, you can actually change the font under character, and fonts are also downloadable as well, so you can download custom fonts. I'm just gonna hit undo. Cool. All right, and another thing up here, so like if you have a layer selected, like let's say I have this image that I imported first. Let's say I have that selected. So I can come up here and we have a few options like we saw in under edit. We can do a couple things there, but there's some really interesting effects if you go to like filter, and yeah, I mean, there's some stuff under window that pops up over here. I've only really explored under filter so far. So like, let's see what we got. Like liquify is a really cool one. So if we pull up liquify, then we get this little tool where we can smear our pixels. So that can be really fun. Now let's see what that looks like. Yeah, cool. So that's one thing you can do to your image. There's a bunch of other stuff too, like you could blur. So, and we're starting to get into like tricks territory, but here, let me show you something. So if you want to combine a bunch of layers, then what you can do is hit convert to smart object, and it converts them into one thing. So now that one thing you can come up here and play with. So let's go to blur, Gaussian blur, and we've blurred our image. So obviously that looks like shit, so we're not going to keep that. But blur can be a really useful tool. Like you could create a vignette and feather it, which is basically where you have like the edges are blurry and then it fades in the clarity in the middle. But that's like kind of beyond the scope of this video, so maybe if you guys want, I'll do more videos like that on that stuff. Some other fun stuff you could do before I wrap up is you could hold command and you can freely move just a corner of a layer. Want to create glitchy visuals or like glitchy kind of granular ish kind of stuff. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but I'm just going to show you a bonus trick real quick. On anything you can rasterize or that's already rasterized, go ahead and do that, and then copy and paste, move that into or on top of the last image, and then you can make it a little smaller by dragging the corner. Hit enter, hold Shift, Option, Command, and T. And if you just keep doing that, then you can create really cool, sort of glitchy, repetitive imagery. So again, I'll go and convert to smart object. Open that up. And we can just keep on doing that. If you want to make it like a fractal, well, actually first I just realized since I converted to a smart object, I have to rasterize again. So then what I can do is copy and paste again. And then this time what I'll do is I'll make it a little smaller. This time I hold Shift and Option to make the whole thing smaller across all the border. And then I take this little cursor, or a little crosshair, put it in one of the corners and do a slight rotation. Okay, now from there, hit enter and then Shift, Option, Command, T. So you get these nice kind of fractal-like patterns. All right, yeah, so I think that's it. That's all I really want to talk about as far as basics go. I think anything beyond this is starting to go a little bit into advanced territory. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to end this video. Thanks for watching.